Hi Webflowers. So a lot of new developers or people that really don't know about CSS make the mistake of creating every animation using Webflow interactions. And that's really something we want to avoid. And one main reason is because Webflow uses JavaScript for all these animations. So even though you created a simple hover effect on the button, Webflow will still use JavaScript, which costs you a lot of performance. So in this video I will teach you how to create two types of hover effects. So the first one will be like the basic one that we do on buttons, and then the second one which will be a little bit more advanced, but you will see the true power of CSS hover effects and animation in general. So you can basically use this in one of your next projects and get that nice juicy green score on Lighthouse. So let's get right into it. So right now we are in one of my old Webflow projects, and I wanted to show you how to create a hover effect for this button here. So our first animation will be to move this arrow slightly to the right when we hover over this button CTA, and then when we hover out it will just return to the initial state. And the second animation, which will be the more advanced one, is when we hover over this card, we will want this Webflow icon to kind of pop in, going from opacity 0 and maybe from, scale 0.8, so it kind of just scales in. And then at the same time we want all of these icons in the background to be blurred as well. And yeah, that is what we want to achieve today, so let's get started. So as you can see, I already have this code embed here, and it's hidden, so it doesn't, when we open it, it doesn't just go back to it. So let's go ahead and open that up, and as you can see, we already have these style tags. This is something that you will need to open before writing any CSS code. So to get started, we need to target our button CTA, but also this button CTA icon, which is located inside of it. So if we go back into the code editor, we can target the button CTA, and then we do :hover. So this is something that will happen when we hover over button CTA. And now when it's hovered, we want to target button CTA icon, which is inside of it. And one important thing to keep in mind is that we cannot target elements that are not located within the button CTA. So for example, if we hover over this, we cannot target, for example, this section top left, because it is not located within button CTA. So we want this icon to be moved to the right. And for that we use transform, translate X, and then let's say maybe 4 pixels. It will be very subtle, but it will look pretty cool. So if we save and close, this should work now. But as you can see, it snaps to its place. It does not look beautiful. And to fix that, we can apply some transition property. And always keep in mind, you need to apply the transition property to the element that you are animating. So in our case, we are animating this button CTA icon. So let's target that and then open the brackets. And here we need to do transition. And now we are targeting this transform because that is the property we are animating. So transform, now we set the duration, which will be 0.4 seconds. And now the ease, which will be the ease. Now there are a lot of these eases and you can create your own, but I will leave you to basically make a research yourself. So let's save and close. Now as you can see, this works perfectly. And simple as that, you can create this hover effect. Before you were probably going to interactions and then create mouse hover and then set the animation on hover and then on hover out. But that's really unnecessary, as you can see. So let's now create this second, more advanced animation. Let's go ahead to our code embed. But actually first we need to see what classes we need to target. So the main class here is services grid item. And then inside of there, we have the platform icons and platform Webflow. So those are all the classes we will need. So let's go ahead and write this easy CSS code. Okay, this disappeared. 1 second. So first, let's maybe blur those icons in the background. So let's target our services grid item, then once again :hover, and now we are targeting the platform icons. And here we can simply set the filter, blur, and then set maybe something like 8 pixels. Let's test it out. And as you can see, it works. And now we need to kind of make this Webflow icon scale in. And for that to be possible, we need to set some initial states here. Now you can do this natively with Webflow. For example, if we go ahead and go here and set this opacity to 0. But if I'm doing the custom CSS code in the editor, I just like to have everything at one place and basically do not mix the native Webflow styling with the code, because then, you know, you will basically get lost in your own project. So let's target our platform Webflow and set some initial states. Now opacity will be 0, and then transform scale, that will be around maybe 0.8. And that just means 80% of its original size, because if we do scale 1, that is basically the current size of it. So let's, as you can see, it disappeared because we set this initial state. And then we need to target this services grid item, hover, and then target our platform Webflow. And now we can simply copy paste this and just reverse the styling. So opacity 1 and scale 1. Now as you can see, it happens automatically. Actually, it snaps to its place because we do not have any transitions. So let's fix that. First of all, let's target our platform icons. And here we need to set the transition property for filter, because we use that here. And we can go ahead and set the same duration, 0.4 second is. And then here we can also set the transition for transform, once again, 0.4 seconds is. So now if we hover over this, it should work. But as you can see, this icon is not really going smoothly, and that is because, yeah, we didn't set the transition for opacity as well. So let's do that as well. Now if we want to set another transition, we basically split them by commas. You cannot do this because it won't work. Just keep in mind that you need to set the comma first, and then opacity 0.4 seconds is. And as you can see, it works perfectly now. So that is the point of this video. Usually you will do this, you would probably do this with a bunch of these animations within interactions, and then it would cost you performance. It would probably make your website, you know, laggy and slower, and you can do this with, you know, that's really a small amount of code here. So if you found this useful, guys, just don't forget to leave that like, subscribe. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers this year. I hope that we can achieve it together, and yeah, I will see you guys in the next video.